Now, coming back home, the Competition Tribunal's decision to block Vodacom and Maziv's fibre merger has shocked the industry. The proposed merger would have seen Vodacom take a 30% stake in Maziv and Maziv gaining access to billions of rands to continue rolling out fibre infrastructure, especially into lower income areas. With all these efforts to secure fibre, Business Day's business writer Mudiwa Gavaza joins us now for an analysis of SA's fibre market. Thank you so much for your time, Mudiwa. Let's actually start off with that fibre market landscape. Is the landscape filled with diversity in terms of the field of players that we are seeing, or is it maybe driven by major players with deep pockets?
I was literally about to use the word deep pockets, so you got to it before me. But yes, diverse in the sense that you can point at more than 3 players. But otherwise, yes, you do need players that have a lot of deep pockets. If I could name just a couple off the top of my head, you're looking at Telkom, which is the biggest in South Africa. Then you've got Dark Fibre and Vumatel, which, you know, both make up Maziv. And then you've got the likes of Metro Fibre, which is mainly Metro Fibre. Then you've got Octotel, you know, which is mainly, you know, on the Western Cape side, Frogfoot. You know, there's a lot of these companies that are there. You've got I'm going to call them 3 main types of fiber operators in South Africa. You've got the national players, right? The ones that have a national fiber network. Then you've got the ones that are doing what's called Metro Fiber, not to be confused with the company Metro Fiber, which that's that. And then you've also got the people that have specialized in going and doing fiber just for what are considered secondary towns. That's basically the ones that are not your main Durban, Cape Town, Johannesburg, etc. Let's go connect those types of areas and get those places, you know, onto the fiber rollout.
So at this point, because I mean, you talk about Telkom, and that is a mobile operator. Out of the 3 big mobile operators, Telkom's really the only one that is playing in that space, not MTN and Vodacom really.
I wouldn't call it that.
Yes.
They do play. MTN does have fiber.
Yes.
Vodacom does have fiber.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, their fiber is not to the extent that Telkom's fiber is at. In fact, no one else's fiber is to the extent that Telkom's is at. So in the case of MTN and Vodacom, both of them are at a place where you'd rather acquire. In fact, MTN back in 2022, there were a lot. They would state officially that that was not the reason why they wanted to buy Telkom.
Ralph has said that to me as well.
Yes.
Meanwhile.
But it was widely, I don't know, understood.
Yes.
Or that this was the reason, right? But even in their cases, MTN, they did say that they were in a place where they didn't see the need to put down their own capex to build a fiber network. They would rather acquire one or be strategically invested in one. But the time that it's going to take for them to build a fiber network that competes
on their own is going to be quite long.
Yeah.
So then, I mean, because also we've seen the evolution of these mobile operators, Vodacom and MTN, trying to really relabel themselves as a technology company. So it makes sense for them to also really try to extend their reach more into fiber. So what's really the problem here that the competition authorities actually have, considering also as much as they are players, but they're not significant players like the other major players that you've mentioned?
So there's a couple of things going on, right? But I'm going to use the Competition Commission's reasons, because the tribunal has not
given the reasons
its reasons, right? But when the Competition Commission did its investigation, one of the big things that they said stuff like it's not going to be good on prices and that type of thing. But one of the main things that they said is you've got one of the biggest players on fiber to the home, right? Which is the likes of Vumatel. And then you've also got the biggest mobile operator, right? So In the world of fiber, at least in the home,
Yeah.
there's what's called fixed wireless access, FWA, right? So in your house, when you're connecting your TVs, your home network, you can either get it through fiber or you can have one of those routers that has a SIM card in it and it uses 5G or 4G or whatever. And they were saying that Vodacom is the biggest in one market and Vumatel is the biggest in the other. So them coming together for what is essentially serving the same market. You're serving the same market but with two different technologies. They were fearing that this then creates an anti-competitive structure. That's in essence.
So it's really
what
just the size of the deal,
just
really,
the size
that's
yeah. Unfortunately, what it bumps up against in terms of reality in the industry is that operators have reached a stage where, to the earlier point, very few players are willing to come out and spend the capex that we did before. Vodacom and MTN have famously each spent 10 billion rand every single year for the last couple of years, building out and expanding their networks in South Africa, right? So that's on the mobile side.
Yeah.
But now when we shift over to fiber, people are rethinking how they put down capex. And now the partner type of model seems to be the way that people want to go. It's either we build together, it's either we get into a partnership. I'll give you, so the Vodacom Maziv is one example. Let's join forces, create a joint venture. We just merge our fiber businesses and then we invest.
Yeah.
Another example is what MTN is doing in Africa. They have partnered with a company called Africa 50. They're doing around 6 billion rand worth of a fiber build from the east to the west of Africa, right? But that's a co-investment, right? With an infrastructure company, infrastructure investor, they're a mobile operator. We need to put fiber down. Let's go together. So that's where the issue is. A lot of people are looking at consolidation of some sort, either consolidation or partnered capital. That's where the reality versus the, I don't know what word to use, an altruistic sort of market structure where these two ideas are in conflict with each other.
So it basically speaks to that saying that to go far, you need to go together.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, because obviously the Competition Commission mentioned the fact that this might disadvantage the consumers on price, but also does blocking this kind of consolidation not disadvantage the consumer in the fact that you've said Maziv needs those deep pockets, that deep capital, so that it can expand? Does this then not mean that the consumer, especially the consumer that lives in the rural areas, actually takes longer to access the fiber that they actually really need?
So there's actually a group that came out. I just want to make sure that I named them, correctly.
Yeah.
And they were talking. It's the Internet Service Providers Association, ISPA, and they came out with a study recently, together with 28 East, and they found that 27 million South Africans actually live in areas that don't have some type of fiber, because the way that fiber works is that we use homes passed or areas passed, right? Which basically means on your street, on your road, in your area, is there a fiber line nearby?
Yeah.
And if it's on your street, we'll just go and pull a line and it comes into your house. So we talk about homes passed, but we're talking about people that live in areas without fiber, at all. So one of the biggest criticisms is that this may lead to a situation where the likes of, your Vumatals, your Vodacoms and others in the market, what is their propensity, what is their appetite, right? Because already people would rather partner. What is their appetite to actually go and invest, right, in some of these areas? Or do they sort of end up doubling down on the areas that they're already strong in? And right, so that's where part of the risk is. And you can look at it in a number of different ways, but I think that's one of the big things that people are sitting down and saying that this might actually threaten investment, right? To give you an idea of how big the expected investment is, last year, I believe, it should have been end of 2023, Vumatel and Dark Fiber actually got a huge loan from Standard Bank, right? And it was almost understood that people were anticipating, putting the pieces together so that once everything is together, they'll go.
Everything goes,
right?
yeah.
And that is one of the biggest syndicated, funding deals I have ever seen. 25 billion rand that was given to Maziv by Standard Bank, right, for their fiber build. So you can already see just the amounts that we're talking about.
That is needed here.
Yeah.
All right, Mudiwa, we still wait to hear from the Competition Tribunal. We will be keeping a close eye on this story. Thank you so much for your analysis. That was Mudiwa Gavaza, business writer for Business Day.